Hi everyone, welcome back to Mekenkie, this channel about Tantra, the Kundalini energy and breathing. Today we're gonna work the spiritual rejoice, how it happens, how we can work it, how we feel it. So the most important thing about this is that it happens in the process of working our consciousness. Our consciousness is full of things on top of it. The idea of what we are, our ego, or the concepts of our individuality, how we judge internally and externally, our memories, everything that we are is held by our consciousness. But the truth is that we need to work ourselves for us to really experience this consciousness empty of all this. The thing is that when we work our consciousness and we work to empty our consciousness, we enter dimensions of rejoice that are very, very intense. They're more intense than what we normally feel in our normal state of wakefulness. We all humans live. So the spiritual rejoice is a phenomenon of the consciousness. Everything in our consciousness can bring spiritual rejoice. And the thing is that the spiritual rejoice is a rejoice with very high volume. It is so intense that the human being can really get lost in itself and merge with God, with existence, with the unity of reality, and actually forget that it's a human. You can forget your name, where you are, who your parents are, who your children are. Everything of you can be dissolved in this phenomenon of pure consciousness. And the rejoice you feel there is so strong that you can hallucinate, then you can lose touch over the dimensions of your individuality and you just merge with everything. So everything in our consciousness can bring spiritual rejoice to us, but in different levels, different volumes. Actually, our ego can make us feel some level of rejoice, of happiness, but it is so dim, it is so low volume. Instead, for example, the opposite, when you're just able to inhabit yourself in pure consciousness and you put your ego aside and you put everything of you aside and you just experience yourself in pure infinite consciousness, that is the gift we all have just by living, just by being alive. And we are so full of things that we are always incapable of connecting to this dimension, because we are also going out to the world to do things and to relate to things and to identify with everything that we can do and everything that can happen and all the situations and people and whatever. And that is what is giving us value to us. And we are not living from us in a way that the value is intrinsically in ourselves. And then we go to the world to experience it. And that's the difference. So in the spiritual path of the human being, one must seek for true empty consciousness. That is what we are, the gift we have, the work on ourselves for us to put aside all these dimensions of the individual, of our individuality, and being able to experiment ourselves in that pure consciousness. And that's why we practice Tantra and all these intrinsic mechanisms we have for us to be able to connect to this dimension in longer periods of time. So when we do that, when we experience life from the consciousness, well, that brings spiritual rejoice. That it's a phenomenon that comes over us and floods our body, our mind, our emotions, and we feel euphoria, we cry, we totally rejoice in an experience of ourselves that is like an orgasm in all of our body and all of our being. So everything we can do in life can catapult us to this spiritual rejoice when we put our consciousness, when we're total conscious of what we are doing, even if if we are just paying attention to ourselves internally of what we are or what's happening in us or what we can do outside, whatever we can do, whatever action we can do in the outside. If we are conscious of our consciousness doing that and being and inhabiting ourselves doing that, that's the door to connect to this spiritual dimension and to this spiritual rejoice. So a normal human being that is in this normal state of wakefulness can feel low volume of this rejoice. But in the other side, you have a really high volume of spiritual rejoice, and that's the purpose. It is so delightful and has so many benefits for us when we delve deep in these states of our being. When we come back, we are renewed somehow. We have harvest our well-being. It's like when you go to a massage or you do yoga, you feel the well-being all over yourself for maybe a day or 2 days, for a period of time, that phenomena or that practice impacts you and then it just fades away and you need to repeat that again. The same thing with the spiritual rejoice. When you enter this dimension, this phenomena, it brings so much well-being to you, and you can harvest that for your normality, for your daily habits, for whatever you do in life. You can harvest all that and project it in your life. And so everything in our lives that is the path to being conscious of our consciousness is also the path for spiritual rejoice. But another thing that is very important is our breathing. Our breathing is also a way to connect to the spiritual rejoice in the least amount of time, because through breathing we can really catapult ourselves to all these states naturally and really quickly. But it also allows us to connect and disconnect to these dimensions and sustain them, being able to inhabit them, because it's a phenomenon that can occur just for seconds or minutes or hours. And for more experienced people, it can happen over days and being for long periods of time. And that's the purpose, for you to inhabit all this, the more you can. So breathing allows you to maneuver and project in all these dimensions. So everything in our lives can catapult us to the spiritual rejoice. That is like an orgasm that you feel in all of your body, in all of your soul, in all of your mind and your emotions. Not just in your sex, everything in you just starts vibrating and feeling this rejoice, and you even hallucinate. Is very strong. So everything in our lives that it's a path to being conscious of our consciousness being can takes us to the spiritual rejoice, and that's pretty much everything that we are and everything that is in reality. So there are several ways. I'm going to name some of them. For example, first of all, our attention on our consciousness. Our consciousness being conscious of itself, being. And no matter what you're doing, even just staying still or doing actions in the world or whatever, you are putting that attention and that consciousness to observe and to do, will take you to that spiritual rejoice. But we can focus, for example, in ourselves in several ways. For example, our perceptions, the perception of our body, of how we hear, how we feel, right? How we see, the smell of things. We can also focus our attention in our centers of power, or our chakras. And when we do that, when we focus our attention on that, we can feel spiritual rejoice too. All that gives us vitality. When we breathe, when we're projecting breathing in an intense way, or we are just observing our breathing as it is, as it naturally happens, whatever way, it gives us rejoice. Eating, our nutrition, how we taste the food, also all the processes that are involved in our nutrition, that, for example, cultivating the food, all the connection we can have to everything that's giving us nutrition. Obviously, sleeping, meditation, everything can be meditation. And that's the idea of this concept of being attentive to everything, putting our consciousness and our attention to everything we're doing and everything that we are. Being self-aware, taking the sunlight, our relation with the sun, with the moon, the vibrations in our body, the pressure in our body, how we can think, all our creative processes, our intellect, everything that we can reflect upon, everything that we can work in our mind, our imagination, our thought processes, all of that can also give us spiritual rejoice if it's focused correctly. The sounds of nature, the music can give us spiritual rejoice. Music is a very powerful way that even if we are in a normal wakefulness state of being, gives us spiritual rejoice. Also doing the music, creating the music, delving deep into mantras, repeating ideas and emotions and sounds gives us spiritual rejoice. The movements of our body, the contractions of our body and relaxation of our body gives us spiritual rejoice. All the postures, all the exercise we can do, even if it's intense or it's dim, if we move slowly, everything that we can do slowly in life gives us spiritual rejoice. Our connection with the outside world, with other people, our human relations, with nature, with animals, with everything in reality can give us spiritual rejoice. Also, our sexual relations with someone else, with our partner, can give us spiritual rejoice. And it's not the same orgasm, it's something beyond. And it's so strong that when you're focused correctly in this matter, in your sexuality, your orgasm can take you out of yourself to Samadhi, and you forget you're there and you just dissolve with the unity of existence and you forget you're in a bed with your partner. That is not something that happens commonly to everyone, but it's there. It can happen if you focus yourself correctly. And it's not something for you to do with anyone. It's something you do with your partner, your life partner. Obviously working our sexual energy, all the tantric practices we can do with our sexual energy, not just having sex, but just expressing that energy in ourselves, even creatively, or moving, exercising. All this tantric yoga we can do in ourselves can connect us to the spiritual rejoice. Obviously working our kundalini energy, that is our root energy, the energy of our maximum capacity that triggers us to be able to conquer all our maximum potential in any way possible in our lives. So also in our rejoice, it get enhanced, and that spiritual rejoice, when it's powered by our kundalini energy, is the most powerful way to experience this spiritual rejoice. It's the type of spiritual rejoice that takes you to high levels of consciousness, to Samadhi, to Turiya, where you dissolve with everything and you're just pure consciousness. That's the idea. One very important is devotion, bhakti yoga, devotion to everything, to life itself, to reality, to everything that's in the outside world. As one can realize is that it's the same, that we all have the same unity that's uniting us. You devote to that idea in everything, and you are grateful for everything that is in your life and your present moment, because everything is an expression of that. So you give total devotion to it, and that gives you spiritual rejoice. And that devotion can also go to masters, spiritual masters or ascended masters, saints, all these figures. When we connect correctly to them in devotion, it gives us spiritual rejoice, as everything is the unity, everything is the source. So acknowledging that and being grateful to that, no matter what, is a very strong way of feeling spiritual rejoice. Of course, praying, having faith, practicing mantras, these are ways for us to connect to the spiritual rejoice. And no matter what we're doing, even if it's internally or we're doing something externally, if we are totally conscious of our consciousness being there, being here in this present moment, doing whatever we're doing, inhabiting ourselves consciously, well, that spiritual rejoice just floods into us and goes through all over our body, our mind, our emotions. All the healing we can do when we release things of our body physically, the excretion or peeing or whatever we can release emotionally or mentally, unconsciously, that is there. And when we live a process of healing, when all that is out, we feel rejoice, we feel euphoria, we feel good, we feel really empty. Being empty is something good. And the thing is, we're so used to relate to ourselves by relating to the world. So the world is giving us value. And without that, we are just nothing. But the truth is, we are what is important, because through us, the world has meaning. Whatever we do, it's important or it has meaning. So that's the difference. That's the whole difference. And that's what I'm trying to explain in this video. Then when you learn how to inhabit yourself from this pure consciousness that we are, and we try to empty all the ideas and all the concepts and all the behaviors and all the ego that we hold, then we start experiencing this pure consciousness in total emptiness. And we can do everything in life that we can do, because this is a huge list that I don't know if there's a lot of things I think I'm missing right now, but everything we can do internally and externally, as we put our attention to that, will give us spiritual rejoice. And it's not the normal state of happiness, it's not the normal orgasm, no, it's something else. Because otherwise we would all be feeling this spiritual rejoice, and that's not happening in humanity. Humanity is really dormant to these phenomenons of the being. And the truth is that they are there. And the path to get there is to work our consciousness, to work ourselves, to try to inhabit ourselves as something so sacred and so important, because this is what is giving us the possibility to live and to do whatever we can do in life, no matter what. So we can live egoically and try to find value in everything we do outside. And without that, we're just doomed to feel awful and to suffer. But that's not the thing. The thing is the opposite. It's to learn to inhabit ourselves and then go to the outside world and live it to the last drop of it. because it's the conscious of us holding reality, holding life, holding action, holding whatever that gives us this spiritual rejoice. And everything can be a doorway for us to experience that. The beauty of nature itself, just by staying still and watching what it is, no matter where you are, as you breathe and you observe yourself and you observe the outside world, is the path to rejoice. So I want to do a little exercise with you. It's a breathing exercise and intention, breathing with intention. We can say that it's breathing and praying, and how that can connect us to the spiritual rejoice, at least in some levels. If we start doing practices, repeating practices like this, we will anchor easily moments of ourselves that we can empty our consciousness and experience our consciousness as it is, and delving deep in all this phenomena I'm talking to you today. So let's do it.
In this exercise about spiritual rejoice, we're going to combine a series of actions. The first is breath control. The second, body contractions. The third, body movements. The fourth is visualization and the projection of ideas. So for the first ones, I'm going to guide you. But what each one visualizes is something personal to each person. And depending on each person, there may be variations. That's why what each one visualizes is a free choice. It would be a space for prayer, to pray, to imagine, hold elevated ideas of high vibration, which varies according to religion and our spiritual visions. But the purpose is to connect with the source, with God, with the Shiva, with unity, with everything elevated that can fill us with high vibration, joy, and well-being. But each one will visualize in their mind this transcendent question of the emerging reality in which we live. Therefore, from beginning to end, we are going to hold in our minds this single idea, which each one is going to choose. And basically, this is an exercise of attention and visualization, because while I'm guiding you with the breathing, you are going to hold this idea always, from beginning to the end of the exercise. So, we're going to look for a comfortable and quiet place where we can do this exercise without hurting ourselves. It can be on the grass, in bed, on the floor, a seat, any place where we're not going to hit ourselves if we go too far and lose control of our body. If that happens, we surrender, relax to the experience. In a short time, we will be back to normal. It's also important to have a straight back throughout the exercise. So let's begin. We start doing a quick breath, pumping the air to mobilize the greatest amount of energy. We take a deep inhalation and hold it. We can stretch back a little, hanging our head back while we hold it. We stay about 10 to 15 seconds holding the air, and we exhale slowly. You can move your hands subtly with the breathing, contracting your eyes like looking up, and contract your pelvic floor and anus while you do your breathing. We take a deep inhalation again, hold for 3 seconds, and exhale slowly. We do this 3 times, so repeat. That's it. Perfect. We do the fast breathing again and pump. That's it. Take a deep inhalation and hold for 15 to 20 seconds. We stretch subtly our back, and we can hang our head back also. You can also stretch your hands and hold a single position along with the holding of the air, contracting all of your muscles while you hold. Now we exhale slowly and we loosen our whole body while we release the air. Now we take air subtly, we hold for 3 seconds while we continue moving very subtly and slow. We repeat the fast breathing, and we pump the air, contracting when we exhale and relaxing when we inhale. We take a deep breath, hold for 15 seconds. We hold, contracting our whole body, maintaining the same position. Now we exhale, relaxing all our muscles, releasing the air as slowly as possible. We take a deep inhalation and hold for 3 seconds. Now we release, relaxing our whole body. Let's move our arms subtly in a total slowness while we're breathing gradually. How the breathing pushes our movements. Now we stay absolutely still in a single position and let our natural breathing enter and happen naturally while we visualize. Remember that we have to visualize from beginning to end of this exercise, what I mentioned at the beginning. We take a deep inhalation and hold. We stretch our neck and back a little bit, and we exhale. Again, we take deep inhalations, hold for 3 seconds, and exhale smoothly, slowly, relaxing our whole body. We repeat several times while we visualize. Now we do again the fast breathing and we pump energy into our system. We contract our pelvic floor and anus along with our eyes, looking at our forehead while we pump the air. We contract our whole body and take a deep inhalation and a hold for 15 to 20 seconds, holding a single position, single posture. That's it, and slowly we exhale and relax the whole body. Take subtle inhalations, hold for 3 seconds, and release. Repeat while you move your arms and express your hands around you in very slow movements. Now we stay totally still in a single position, single posture. We contract our eyes as if we are looking at our forehead, and we take subtle deep breaths. Hold for 3 seconds and release smoothly. We repeat it several times. While we breathe like this, we can move our arms and hands as subtly and slowly as possible, pushing the movement with our breathing. And we return to staying still. Taking subtle deep breaths, holding for 3 seconds and exhaling smoothly. Now let's pump again, doing fast breathing while we shake our hands intensely. Now we take a deep inhalation and a hold for 15 to 20 seconds, holding a single posture. We can stretch our back a little bit, and we can loosen our head a little bit to make it more intense. And slowly we exhale. We return to our normal position, totally relaxed. We move our arms and hands relaxed while we do subtle breaths that drive the movement. First we breathe and then we move in total slowness. We can stretch our body a little without stopping breathing in control. And now we relax everything. We stay still and let the natural breathing enter and happen without us controlling it, leaving our whole body totally relaxed. We focus now exclusively on our visualization, totally relaxed. We take a deep inhalation and a hold, maintaining a single posture. We hold for 15 to 20 seconds, contracting muscles. And now we exhale and relax our whole body. Repeat it. We take a deep inhalation, hold, contracting muscles, and exhale, relaxing our whole body again. We move slowly, breathing while we push the movement, using our arms and our hands. Here, as you see, is the spasm of rejoice, the spiritual rejoice of what this video is about. First, as you can see what's happening to me, I release emotionally, but then the spiritual rejoice enters in me. And if this happens to you, congratulations. This doesn't happen to everyone at the beginning. You need to muscle up yourself in every dimension for it to really happen. But that it can happen to everyone, it's certain. It is something that's for everyone. It's like having a brain. It's something natural of every one of us. So if it doesn't happen to you this time, repeat the exercise until you find this moment where all our spiritual and emotional energy is triggered within us. If you reach this level in your exercise, let it be. Surrender to the experience and whatever it has to show you. Face it, be humble with love, with compassion, with forgiveness, and let it be. That's the idea. You can feel that all the dimensions of yourself, your body, your mind, your emotions, your spirit totally rejoices with it. This triggers everything about you. It's like an orgasm around your whole body, or your whole mind, your whole everything. And that's pretty much the spiritual rejoice and what this video is about. And that's why we're doing this exercise. So if you unlocked it, congratulations, I truly celebrate you. And if it didn't happen to you, or it didn't happen with this intensity, don't worry, keep practicing it. You'll get to it. This is something that every human being can trigger in them. And the beautiful part of Tantra is that it allows us to really open these doors for us consciously. So I thank you for being here today and doing this exercise with me. Keep doing it, repeat it, do it on your own. Remember, that's a combination of 4 things, 4 actions that you must do. As you have your breath control, you contract your body and relax it, how you move your body, and last and most important, how you project your consciousness, your ideas, your intentions, how you pray. This is a moment for prayer. No matter what religion you are or what spiritual vision you have, this is your moment of praying. Praying what's beyond and transcendent in every way possible. The source and the unity itself, God, Shiva. So thank you for being here. Om Namah Shivaya.